You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Levi with Mailbox Money. And today I got two guests joining me here out of Sioux Falls as well. The co-founders of Speech Sage. I got Noah Vandal and Joseph Yoon here. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your guys' story and your grit journey. So why don't we start here at the beginning? I'll let both of you kind of introduce your background, and then we'll get into how you guys formed your company Speech Sage together.
Sure. I'll start. So like you mentioned, my name's Noah Vandal. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, just outside of Fargo, North Dakota. So when people ask me where I'm from, I always just say North Dakota. And my parents were they were very conservative with the way they raised us in many ways. That to the extent, where we could only watch TV, like an hour a day or something, whatever it was, very restrictive. And it actually worked out really well because my dad also, he worked hard and got a workshop. And so my brother and I have a brother 2 years younger than me. We would always just be out in the shop working on things, tinkering things. I know we've made some crazy things. My brother, he made a wooden go-kart. And that was really interesting. He might have tried to make like a rack and pinion with a copper tube, and that didn't really work too well. And myself, I was more on I like the electrical side of things. So I remember one day there was curb week, and I went around and I picked up some old microwaves and took some transformers out of them and rewound the transformer and tried to make a welder. And it worked, except the wire I was using was too thin of a gauge, and so it was
Burned
melting
out.
everything.
Yeah.
The wire started melting, so I could only run it for like 5 seconds at a time. And actually looking back, I saved the schematic. And I remember looking at it a few years ago, and I was like, oh man, that was a horrible wiring diagram. I'm surprised it didn't cause more damage. But, things like that. We were both raised I have other siblings as well, but I think there's a sense of entrepreneurship or maybe even just ingenuity, like trying to figure out new things and try new things. And that really led what's that?
I was going to say that's a lot better time use of your time rather than watching cartoons, seeing people smash clubs over heads and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I'm really thankful. Obviously, as a kid, you hate your parents for it, or you don't hate them, but you're annoyed because
you
all your
don't
friends
fully
do the fun
understand.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just gives a little bit of background as to I ended up going to college, North Dakota State University, for a electrical engineering degree, and that fit in really well. I had a passion for healthcare, still do, and it really the Lord worked out a lot of things that kind of just led into me being able to do a master's in biomedical engineering. And with that, I hadn't really gotten into computer vision or machine learning up until that point. But during my master's, I really got myself immersed into it. And I ended up doing, creating we were trying to detect cancer using computer vision through some microfluidics that we made. So there's the mechanical engineering side and then also the computer vision, electrical engineering side of things. But I realized since then that I fell in love with machine learning and AI and that type of thing. And I've been fortunate enough I graduated 2 years ago and then was able to work at a startup for a little over about a year and a half. And that was awesome. Unfortunately, they had to let me go due to some funding problems, and that kind of led into this opportunity.
Startup nature. Yep.
Yes. And Dr. Yoon has an even more interesting story, in my opinion.
Yeah. Could you please share that with us, Joseph?
Sure. I was born and raised in South Korea, Seoul, Korea. A lot of the background that you see in K-pop Demon Hunters is right behind the house that I grew up in.
That hits close to home. I have a 3-year-old at home that is absolutely obsessed with it. So that's hilarious that you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then my family immigrated to New York City when I was 16, and then went to high school there, and then college. And then I went to medical school, then started my career in Minnesota as a hospitalist. So I still practice in hospital. as an inpatient physician. But I also went to University of Minnesota for health informatics. So there I kind of got into the intersection between medicine and IT. And saw a lot of potential, but at the time, it was more about the electronic health record implementation. So it was not my cup of tea. So I went back to practice. But then I kept myself in that arena and kept up with it. And then about 3 years ago, ChatGPT came out.
Yep.
And that's when I saw, I mean, this technology has a real potential to transform medicine. And I all through my practice, especially past 10 years, I see so many patients really struggling with financial ruin because of the healthcare. And so, I always kept in mind, what would be the really transformational way to make medicine affordable and yet keep the quality. And it's not
That's a big piece
easy.
of it. Yeah.
I think American Affordable Care Act uh, try to do the coverage issue. They wanted to do the coverage for all people, but I think they really neglected the cost side of things. So right now, so many people are having real trouble paying their health insurance, and once they get sick, hospital costs is so astronomical.
Snowball effect after that. Yeah.
Right. So, there are a lot of components, a lot of complication, a lot of components within healthcare system that makes our healthcare very expensive.
Hmm.
And how can we get it down? And at electronic health record was kind of looked at it in that light. Okay, we could reduce the cost and then also enhance the quality. But it really didn't, uh, live up to that promise. But if I have to, but I'm hopeful again because of AI, in that I think AI really could make healthcare much more efficient and at a much lower cost,
Yeah.
or at least it has that potential in it.
So, is this kind of how we're leading up to how a physician meets up with a former, was it electrical engineering you said you were studying, Noah?
Yes, electrical engineering and biomedical engineering as well. Yes.
Yes. So, give me that story of how these two worlds collide to form a company here.
So yeah, I moved down here about 2 years ago. I had my fiance or girlfriend at the time lived down here, and then I moved down here to be closer to her because we had met up in Fargo. So I was here, and in Fargo they had some AI meetups, some entrepreneur summits that I had been going to since probably 2021 or so because I was just interested in the space. And so I looked for similar events in Sioux Falls, and the one I had found had just started it like a month prior was an AI tech meetup, and they
Mhm.
still host them. Actually, we're actually just trying to get them revamped again. Now we do it at the startup downtown. But anyway, I went there, and I don't know if it was the first one or the second one I went to. I happened to see Dr. Yoon there. Again, at the time I didn't know him, and so I mean, he was just a familiar face. But it ends up, so the church I go to in town here, he ends up going to the same one. And so there's a few times where we were at the same AI meetup and we are at the same church. And we're like, I feel like I've seen that guy somewhere else. And it wasn't until that happened a couple times before I believe Joseph made click the dots. It was like, hey, I know you from this other place. And then from then, obviously it's a shared interest. in AI. That the AI group was and still is a little bit. It's a smaller group, and so I mean, if you're there and you have some decent competencies, there's a lot of shared experience, and then and I think there's a lot. I mean, if you are able to fellowship in the same church body, there's a lot of mutual connection there, along with trust and like that you can really almost expedite your friendship to the extent you don't have to have as long as a vetting period.
I agree 100% there. That's very cool. So tell the listeners more specifically what Speech Sage is and what kind of work are you guys doing with this company?
Yeah. So yeah, what speech stage
By the
is
way, Noah, I think there is some echo in your
oh, is there? I'll
voice. Yeah,
switch. I'll just switch to the actual audio.
yeah. So in terms of the technology, the when we looked at the AI technology, it was we were impressed by the conversational ability, and so the real value addition could be created by having AI agent speak to patient or healthcare workers, and that could really help the workflow within the healthcare system.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, kind of what Joseph had alluded to. There's literally trillions of dollars every year that we believe are probably not wasted, but could be optimized. And it's like, all right, are we going to try to capture that whole market? No. And also, too, AI is not a proven field. It's kind of an interesting vibe that I've seen. There's a large portion of the population that I think they're either they either are scared of AI or they are annoyed at AI. And I think that section itself kind of falls into two big categories. The first category is people that are scared that's going to take your job. And the second category that are really, really annoyed with seeing AI slap because they've done stuff with AI and it's really crappy. And so there's like a lot of challenges to still overcome. And, it's not a proven field yet. And I think there's a lot of people saying that right now it's a bubble. It's not a bubble necessarily, but I mean, the value has not been realized. And that's, why companies like ourselves are founded. So we want to be at the front edge, creating these AI innovations, allowing them to be used in operation. So that way, when they are fully formed, and we think that, our product already right now, it's in operation in a clinic in town here, and it's being used already. That's for like more basic tasks. And as time goes on, we'll be able to understand these systems better and how to use them better in a way where you can really, really trust them more than you'd be able to even trust a human. And so that's kind of what we're working towards. There are a gajillion different things we could be solving, but one thing that is something that people pay thousands of dollars, or if they don't pay thousands of dollars, they miss out on lost opportunity costs, is something like a voice receptionist, and our one client they're able to recover over $1,500 a month in appointments just from us being able to book after hours calls. And something like that. It's a small value add, but that really adds up over time. And this is a more quote unquote simpler use case as well. And so, so much more potential. When Joseph and I get on calls and we start talking about ideas, we have to be careful because it's like, all right, priorities first, what is most important? But this is where we're starting.
I think
Yeah,
so many people. Oh, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, patients really, when they call for some reason after hours rather than machine, if they are able to converse with the AI voice, that endears way better than just the machine.
Press
And
one for whatever. Yeah,
yes.
100%. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I wanted to hit on like what you said, Noah. I think having a clear, because especially in the AI world, the possibilities are endless, right? And so having a clear vision on where you guys are wanting to go, I think so many people fall into the pitfalls of this can solve everything. I think you guys are hitting very well. Let's solve this and then see what and master it, and then see what we can solve from there. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you?
That's dead on. And it's interesting, not to get too nerdy. I love like the nerdy side of things, but there was a research article that I shared with Joseph a few months ago, and it was by Microsoft. And I don't know what the demographics of your audience are, but when you talk about AI, a lot of times you probably think of ChatGPT, and that is powered by what we call an LLM, or a large language model. And there's different models and there's different versions, and they're constantly coming out with new versions that have better intelligence, more capability, etc. Well, they did a study back in May, and what that study did is, let's say you have instructions for your chat GPT, okay? And you have it's a bullet list of things you want it to do. That would be a single prompt execution. So you give it the bullet list of the things you want it to do. And so what they did in this study is they took something like that, where they took a prompt, gave it there with a bunch of like maybe 3 or 5 sub bullets of tasks, and they assessed how accurate it was at doing those tasks. And they got their benchmark. Maybe it was 90% accurate, whatever, that's fine. They took that exact same prompt and then split it up based off of the sub bullets, and then fed them one by one to the chat agent. And then whenever they did that for even the smartest model, for even with the more dumb models, whatever the baseline started at, 90% in this example, it was always around 60% worse performing. So in that example, it'd be like 55% accuracy or something, which is horrible, but it's a good example of multi-turn conversations. And one of the areas where when you do start, where I say it's not quite a solved field when you do a conversational assistant, when you start doing multi-turn conversations, these AIs, as smart as they are, you have to put the right guardrails in place to be able to make it do what you're wanting it to do, while still kind of maintaining that somewhat human element. And so that, I don't know if that answers specifically, but I think that's something worth sharing, and something that I think
that
is
is
not
that
a
colors
solved
in the
problem.
picture better for sure. That's very interesting. All right, give me some more kind of on, besides specifically what you guys are doing. What does the company look like? So is it just you two gentlemen as of now? Are you looking? Give me what's happening now and what's on the future for Speech Sage.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously we want to be profitable and successful. Right now, we're very much in a bootstrap stage. Joseph has been the one funding us, and I've been full-time. He's been part-time, as he is still staffing.
Yep.
And so it's just us right now. I'm doing the development, but we finally have been able to get a working product that is using our own software and everything. And we have been working with one clinic in the area, and we have one other person. We're working with one other client as well, just to kind of get out of the beta phase, maybe more to the alpha phase, where it's working in a more functional manner. And we're very excited. We have our first trade show where we have like a booth and everything this Thursday in 2 days here in Sioux Falls also. So super excited to actually start hitting the marketing side a lot harder. The last few months, it's been a little bit more of a holding pattern where we've waited a little bit more, just because we do want it to be something that doesn't have a bug or something broken every hour. So I think we're at that point where, yes, there's so many things we want to make better, but at some point you just have to start getting out there and really working on the marketing and actually understanding your customer's intent. And that's one thing I think we've both learned. I know I for sure have a lot, is you can have the best idea in the world and think it's awesome to have really good technology, but if your customers don't want it or they don't see the value, it's not really worthwhile for a business product, at least. Maybe for a hobby.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we are starting with this voice to text and text to voice technology to converse with the AI agent. The text side is easier to interact with the AI agent. So we are starting out with the low-hanging fruit at this point. But then as we enter into a little bit more sophisticated interaction with the text, then AI is very, very good at summarizing things. Well, for instance, if a patient wants to ask about the lab results, AI is very good at explaining lab results, for instance, and uh, that could be win-win situation because clinicians don't have time to explain that kind of things.
Yeah,
And
that makes
patients always, it's when they come home that they have all these questions, right? So,
Yep.
so that this asynchronicity that the physician doesn't have to be, or AI agent, they don't have to be present in specific time. That the patient can call anytime and ask them about okay, this was the question that I wanted to ask my doctor about my lab result, but I forgot to ask. Then hopefully the day will come soon that the AI agent can explain, oh, this is a CBC result. You have some anemia, and he wants to do this further test because we want to find out what it is. I mean that type of a service is something I think. In addition, I mean, it's just very difficult to exist in current U.S. healthcare environment. So I
Agreed.
think the AI agent is really opening up a new possibility of a patient care where patient education and literacy of healthcare can be enhanced, and that thus leading to uh, better health outcome. Because when I work at hospitals, there are so many cases where patients did not understand fully about their medication, very high power but risky medication that they are taking, that they lack the understanding that, and then they got into complication and coming in,
Yep.
you
Well,
know.
not to mention just being in that moment, that can be, it can be just hard to whenever you have to take something like that, uh, to actually fully realize what has been told to you and everything. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned, I think there is a big struggle between the healthcare provider and the patient. Healthcare provider needs to get to the next patient, right? They don't have the time. So
Yeah.
you guys, I think that is a very real problem that you guys are solving, is bridging that together.
Right. And also, at the same time, AI may not be able to give appropriate answers in that. So those questions, then the patient can ask 9 questions, but that one question, that's really worth clinician is spending time with the patient. So that type of system will really enhance the healthcare quality and outcome.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great. Clearly, I see you both are passionate about it, and it's awesome to see these kind of two worlds that a lot of people don't think, traditionally you don't think going together, right? Tech and healthcare, and it's very cool to see it coming together, and especially from a startup happening in Sioux Falls. That is also, we love to hear that, being local here. I Before we get going, I kind of want to hear your guys' experience. I haven't heard much of that startup Sioux Falls. Talk to me on that.
Yeah. Well, I was just a thought came to my mind. There's a coding agent called Claude Code, and people have been using a lot of developers, and they released a report last week about the usage statistics. And unfortunately, the state that was at the bottom, I think they're number two or number three, was South Dakota. States like
Yikes.
Wyoming, North Dakota beat out South Dakota, and both of those states have a smaller population. And
Yep.
so I do appreciate what the Startup Sioux Falls has to offer and what they're doing with trying to cultivate a tech scene. And I think that's something that we have a lot of smart people, talented people in the area, for whatever reason or another, just maybe haven't utilized it in the startup tech scene. But what the startup has to offer is an awesome start. And so I've been very thankful to them for like the space they have and even just the collaborative events that they put on. I know last week they had an innovation expo, and that was really cool to do, to go to and attend. And so, yeah, that's been my experience. I don't know what else you have to add.
Yeah, I think the Startup Sioux Falls have been kind of an oasis uh, of Sioux Falls in terms of for entrepreneurs. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start out by themselves, the hardest part may be the loneliness.
Yeah.
And the Startup Sioux Falls, creates a lot of different events where we can come together and, oh yeah, I'm struggling with that too.
Yeah.
And exchange of ideas and just socialization has been, I think, the biggest encouragement that I find from the Startup Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
That's a main goal. One of the goals of this podcast that we're doing is to let other entrepreneurs hear other entrepreneurs' stories. So with that said, gentlemen, if there is people who want to connect and learn more with you, see your guys' journey, where would you send them? And maybe kind of plug that convention that you had going on again if people wanted to check that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are on social media, so we'd appreciate a follow, whether that's LinkedIn, Twitter, and I think and Facebook as well. We have to be more active on those, but that's that we can follow us there, or you can go to our website, speechsage.ai. And then if you are interested at all, just email me. There's emails there. It's noah@speechsage.ai or contact@speechsage.ai. Any of those will work great. And I do want to become better at doing like regular updates and newsletters, but if you just want to stay connected and updated, we'd really, really appreciate that. And then if you know anyone that owns a healthcare business, even small, medium-sized, whatever size, and they are intrigued at all, we'd love to just to set up like a demo. But any type of collaboration or just reaching out, we're really thankful for.
Beautiful. Did you have anything to add there, Joseph?
No, yeah, so we want to listen to what problem the AI agent that we have created can solve. So please, if you have any uh, uh, problems that you have been thinking about, or anything that you want to ask us about, how AI can function within a healthcare context, we would just welcome your inquiry.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me today, sharing both your stories and both your passions. I wish you guys the best of luck, and we'll be following along. Thanks, everyone, for
Levi.
listening.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you on the next one.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.